How do you think that makes us feel?
Hey, brother, this is part two. Hopefully, don't have to make a part three. But, so in the first video, I addressed how does that make you feel. Now, I also talked about Arminianism versus Calvinism, is the first thing I wanted to mention to you. Here's the second thing, actual Bible verse that actually addresses your situation. It's in several of the Gospels, but I'm just going to pick the first one, Matthew, make it easy for you. It's Matthew chapter 13, verses, I believe it's 3 through 23 or 3 through 24. It's also been nicknamed the story of the good seed that fell by the wayside. Now, this is a story that Jesus Christ, God himself, is talking about, or giving a parable. And he's talking about a guy who has some seed that he's going to go sow in the ground for crops. And apparently there's a hole in his bag. And as he's walking to his field, he's walking on a road. And on the wayside of the roads, some of the seeds fall out. Now, seeds do what seeds do. They start to grow. But it talks about different types of seeds. It talks about one seeds that the birds come and they pluck off the ground and eat, and those seeds never really had a chance to grow. The second type of seeds are talking about the seeds that started to grow, but then because of the rocks, the lack of rain, and just the difficulties of dirt itself, it began to grow, but then stopped and died. Then it talked about the good seed that was able to grow and continue to grow among all the different difficulties that tried to stop it from growing. It continued to grow. Now, this parable is then explained later. Those that fell by the wayside never grew because they were eaten by the birds and stuff like that. Those are people who were never saved. They heard the gospel truth, the seed being the gospel, but they never became saved. They never believed in the gospel. Then you got the seeds that grew a little bit, but then the rocks and all that kind of stuff withered and crushed it, and it fell away. It died. That is where you would fall into the category. And others who once believed, who heard the gospel truth, believed in the gospel truth, but then throughout life, difficulties and things strained them more than they could hold on to their faith, and their faith died and they fell away from the faith. That would be your category. Then, of course, the seed that grew and continued to grow, or the seed that grew into a plant and never died, that would be those who heard the gospel truth, believed the gospel truth, and never fell away from the faith. This, I believe, better explains your situation than you were never once ever saved, like the Calvinists would say. I encourage you to check out this story.